All right, hey everybody, welcome to our Monday 7 o'clock live stream. Hopefully you had a great weekend. I know for us it was a little challenging. I'll get into that in just a second, but hopefully you've had a great weekend, and thank you for stopping by and for joining us on the live show. Karen is not quite here yet. She might be joining us tonight, she might not be, I'm not really sure yet. She has some things to take care of, but I see that Ben's in the chat. So Ben, thanks for stopping by, thanks and welcome to the chat. Hopefully you had a great weekend and are doing well. And yeah, we're gonna be talking about some forward-facing sonar tonight. Maybe that's called radar, I don't know. But we're gonna talk about that because there's some controversy about how this is one of those things that it's like ruining fishing. So we'll see what happens with that. And then we'll talk about some more illegal fishing, and then we've got some tips on how to find some new spots. But anyway, for our weekend, before we get into it, yeah, Karen's she's wearing an invisibility cloak here. Yeah, I thought, I think it'd be kind of weird. I thought about putting like a picture, or something. But anyway. We went out this weekend. We went out and we were trying to do some marsh fishing at a place called Bessie Heights, which we had not been to before. And here in this area, there's not really grass flats, there's a bunch of mud flats. And so we were trying to get out there and see what we could do and see what we could find, see what was new. And we got in there fine and did well. But in doing so, we did learn some things about the river and how the water's flowing and how it's coming into the marsh. That presented its own set of challenges. But then, GoPro fails. We had major GoPro fails. We filmed the beginning of it and things were going well with it. And then somehow we managed to switch the GoPro onto picture mode. And so instead of filming, we were taking a whole bunch of pictures. So that did not work as well as we thought. So half of our trip there kind of got lost forever. But we were able to get some reds, blue catfish as well. Karen got her first catch on her new inshore rod that she had got for Christmas. So a good day, learned some things, and it's always good to get out there and learn some things. But hopefully you guys had a great weekend. If you are here, let us know that you're here in the chat. So we might say hey to you. And for those of you that catch the replay later, thank you for watching the live show as well. All right, well, let's get right into this. We've got a couple of stories that I wanted to start off with and talk a little bit about. The first one being this one, where the Coast Guard has once again, this seems to be like a reoccurring thing. This comes from the United States Coast Guard News. Well, once again, we have the Coast Guard interdicting launch a cruise, and this is just an ongoing issue. If you've been paying attention to our channel, if you pay attention to news in Texas, this continues to be a major issue, and looks like she's joining us. All right. Want to say hey?
Hey.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. All right, we're talking about I was telling about our weekend. I was telling about the GoPro fail and alligators, and you caught your first fish so we were just giving a little weekend update. And then we're getting into the first story about how the Coast Guard interdict 3 launcher crews and 21 over 2,000 pounds, 2,160 pounds of illegally caught fish, all red snapper. That's a lot of red snapper. That is a lot of red snapper. The Coast Guard intersected 3 launches and seized 2,160 pounds. Let me do that correct. 2,160 pounds of illegally caught fish in federal waters off of southern Texas on Thursday. So this was on Leap Day. This year we had Leap Day. So it says boat crews from Coastal Station South Padre Island and Coast Guard cutter Jacob Peroso, in coordination with Coast Guard Air Station Corpus Christi air crews, located and stopped a total of 13 Mexican fishermen engaged in illegal fishing north of the maritime boundary line. And if you've been paying attention to the channel for any length of time, if you have been paying attention to what we've been talking about, then you know this is just an issue that continues to rear its ugly head.
Well, if you're gonna illegal fish, snapper's the one to eat.
Yeah.
They're also super easy to catch because
if you get on a school of them, it
bite.
is. It says, after interdicting the launches, Coast Guard personnel seized 2,160 pounds of red snapper along with fishing gear and high flyers on board the vessels. Coast Guard crews detained the Mexican fishermen and brought them ashore and transferred the detainees to U.S. Customs and Border Protection personnel for further processing.
You can also use super cheap bait when you just drop a piece of squid, bam.
Snapper are easy to catch. They taste good. They're schooled up, so just easy targets for these guys. And it's just one of these ongoing issues. And every time I see one of these stories, and we just did one maybe it was only a few weeks ago, where it was another like 1,260 pounds with sharks as well.
That's why Ben has a good point. That, I mean, they keep doing it because honestly, we don't really punish them enough.
Yeah, that's part
they're
of.
Not afraid.
No, they're not. They're not afraid. They continue to do it. They're going to continue to do it because you got to figure for whichever ones that they're actually catching, how many of them are actually getting away with it.
And then basically you lose your boat, and then some of them even just get shipped back to Mexico.
Yeah,
so it's like they really don't.
No, and Ben, I do agree. These boats are not going to stop. The penalties for in-car are not going to outweigh the gains from poaching. And what's even sadder to me is some of these launcher crews have been known to sell the illegal catches in the United States. That they deliver them into Corpus, Houston, Brownsville, just all the border communities, and restaurants will buy it because they'll buy it cheaper than what they can get it, and it just is just a continuing, ongoing problem. And I really don't know until they get really serious about it.
Oh, he wants to see the bottom of my shirt.
Oh, tell me you love me and take me fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is on our website if you want. Tell me you love me and take me fishing.
There, I need to sit back because I don't want just to take me.
No. We gotta move your chair back a little bit or so. You get the whole shirt in there.
Yeah. You just tell me you love me and then I just jump in your car.
Yeah,
right?
Please don't. That's so awkward. That's just so awkward. All right, it says if you don't know what a lancha is, for those of you that may not know the story, may not know what it is, it says a lancha is a fishing boat used by Mexican fishermen approximately 20 to 30 feet long, slender in profile, one outboard motor. It's capable of exceeding 30 miles per hour. Not only are these boats used for illegal fishing, but they're also used to run narcotics as well. So these are just out there, and they become a continual problem. And then, of course, if you do see this illegal activity, they do give you numbers here to call, whether it's Operation Game Thief, if it's within coastal waters, or if it's offshore. Of course, that is going to be the Coast Guard.
I think one time they caught a boat where they found fish, drugs, and children.
Oh, man.
They were just smuggling all of the things.
All the things, yeah. And it's just sad. And Ben is definitely right when he says, until the penalties outweigh the crime. And you know, when I post these stories, I write stories for another website, and when I write those stories, people always chime in about their solutions for it, and some of them are very harsh, of course. It's the internet. But I don't know what can be done in order to curb it.
Some people say shoot them and they're stopped.
Yeah, I mean, but it's against our laws. You can't just do that. I mean, so we gotta do something to say that the penalty is going to outweigh the crime. And I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem like anything we do. Simply interdicting them and turning them over to Customs and Border Patrol for processing doesn't seem to be doing anything.
So lifetime, like putting them in jails in our side causes problems too. So it's a never ending.
This is just something that has got to be. I mean, smarter people than me focusing on this problem can figure it out because it is something. And the thing that we also have to remember is it depletes our fisheries as well. When you're, for us,
especially Padre
we
Island
get
fishing.
like if we go out, we get 2 snapper a day, and it costs us what $80 a person to go out on a head boat to get 2 snapper. Okay, it's really not worth the price of admission when you really get into it because you're only getting 2, and so you're really paying. And maybe you bring home.
The only way it worked for us is we brought our kids, and we told them they were just.
They were
just passengers to ride because they weren't strong enough to bring up the fish themselves.
And so they gave us 2 fish for them as well.
And that was only like $10 to add them as a rider. But what you don't know, and they don't tell you this, is that they say, well, they're not getting any fish, they're just a rider. But then when they go out there, they count passengers on the boat as 40, and that's 80 fish, and they just hand them to you anyway.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. So, yeah.
80.
Senior Mysterious is $80. I wish that's what we paid going on.
It is. Even
it was
a couple years
we
ago.
did a 4-hour trip. Normally we do 4-hour trip out of Port Aransas on. I guess I can use the name of the company. Dolphin Docks is the one that we've used.
I think they might have pushed it to 85 the last time we went.
So Senior Mysterious. So what are you paying and where are you going out of? Because I'm curious on.
He might not live near Aransas Pass, so that might be a drive for him.
Yeah.
It would be for us now.
Yeah, it would be. We'd have to
It'd
go
be a
out
5-hour
of
and-
Galveston. We'd probably have to go out of Galveston if we were going to do it here. That'd probably be the closest port to go out of. Grant, welcome. Hopefully you're doing well.
It might be too far of a boat ride though to get out to the international.
I don't know how far you have to go off of Galveston.
Because you have to get out of
Ben
Texas waters.
says, let's see.
You have to get out.
Ben says, despite the value of loss, I still book one trip out of ARS trip out of Galveston every year. And the Galveston boat is $139 per seat for a 12-hour trip.
I might as well make the drive to Port Aransas.
Yeah, it makes me kind of spoiled thinking of Port Aransas.
Because
Because it was about. I mean, you're riding for about an hour and a half, hour and 40, depending on currents and things. You're fishing for maybe an hour, and then you're heading back. But
it's a
in
real
that
quick
hour,
trip.
boom, you got your limit real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say they probably have to drive farther from Galveston. If you went out Padre Island, it's probably even faster to get to the red snapper because they're right there.
They're right there, yeah.
So probably cheaper.
Yeah, let's see. Grant says just
4-hour
just
ride?
pulled up for some night fishing and had minnows left from the weekend. Hopefully you did well. Hopefully
I'd
you
be
did well
curious
there,
to
doing some
know
night
how
fishing.
you keep your minnows alive overnight.
Yeah, we can't seem to keep shrimp alive overnight. That's a different podcast,
I
maybe
know.
a different live show, but we can't
It's
seem
not
to
just
keep
that.
shrimp
A lot
alive
of
overnight.
we've tried.
I've tried everything, I think.
Minnows too. That
Minnows.
sometimes will last like one night if you go get them the night before. But
And that's with aerators and everything. So, and actually, I put one of the things you use for a fish tank in it one time. It didn't work.
yeah, we'd like to
Maybe it
know
wasn't
how to
cool
store
enough.
bait.
Maybe it's not cool enough. I thought I'd put them in the refrigerator.
Shrimp.
Yeah, in the aerator bucket and put it in the refrigerator. I've thought about it. I
Not
have.
too cold.
Let's see. Senior Mysterioso says 12-hour trips average 140 to 180. Shh.
But look, it's a 4-hour boat ride. They have more gas.
Galveston boats are 4-hour ride, 4 hours fishing, 4 hours back. Yeah, wow. That's a long, man, I'm not used to that long of a ride. But I guess, out of
Yeah,
Galveston.
but if you drove to
further.
Port Aransas, you're driving the 5 hours, then you're getting on the boat for 4,
Yeah,
then you're
Senior
driving 5
Mysterioso
back.
says the same thing. He says during the snapper season, you have to go out federal waters, and that takes 4 hours.
Yeah, that's what I was
each
saying.
way.
You have to get out of Texas waters, and it takes longer out of Galveston to do that.
Mhm.
So that would be a
Grant
longer
can
boat
keep
ride.
planes alive, so it's good for minnows too. Yeah, Grant definitely has a green thumb. I don't know if you've watched Grant's videos on his garden. The dude has the most epic gardens. He's got like a greenhouse. He does he does plants from seeds and he does everything. And he's got the epic garden.
You can tell me how
if
to
you're on the channel listening to podcasts and you have not subscribed to Grant's channel, do it just to learn how he does his garden because it is definitely worth it.
Maybe that's our problem. We try to keep shrimp alive, but we don't put any plants in the water.
Well, no, we don't do that.
Do we need plants in the water, Grant?
Yeah.
I mean, who does it? Grant, you said?
Yeah, Grant.
Yeah, maybe we need plants in the water.
Plants in the water.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Put some seaweed in there.
Senior Service says, oddly enough, Galveston boats are cheaper than Port A. Yeah, well, actually, if you really get down to it, because 12 hours for $140 for 4 hours of fishing, you don't get that on the Port A boats. Unless you
get
go
an hour of
longer.
fishing and that's all.
You go on the 5, because they have 4 hour and then they have 5 hour or 6 hour, something like that, or 8 hour. They have an 8 hour one too.
It's a 4 to 5 hour, but you really, I should say the last 3 years we went, you don't get an hour of fishing, you really get a half hour because we limit out that fast.
You limit out so fast, yeah.
And then it's done and you're back.
Anyway, all that to say, something has got to be done about the illegal fishing because we want more snapper and we don't want them stealing them. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the second one. The second one's going to be kind of interesting because whether you're freshwater or saltwater, it doesn't really matter because there's always fishing controversy.
I know.
There is the great
If you're
debate.
illegal fishing, we steal your drain plugs.
Yes.
We take the drain plug and we say goodbye.
Goodbye. And you're out there in the water.
You're out there on your own now.
Out
You
there on
lost
your own. Good luck.
illegal fishing, lose your drain plugs.
Yes. All right.
That's what I say.
Here is the great fishing debate. This is out of the Beaumont Enterprise on February 25th. Writing for Matt Fay for the Outdoors says, the great fishing debate, forward-facing sonar, changing competitive fishing, while organizations study the long-term impact. I don't know if you do this or not. I don't have a forward-facing sonar. I know a lot of guys do that do bass fishing, crappie fishing. They're becoming more popular in saltwater applications now. Some people call it video game fishing, depending on how you view it. But this is one of those things that is going to continue to be a controversy. So it's Greg Hackney doesn't mind adapting. He's seen it all during his 2 decades as a professional angler and has found success by fishing in multiple ways. As a young angler in Louisiana, he first learned to catch fish out of a john boat with a set of oars. These days, Hackney's setup is a bit more technologically savvy. The 3-time Bassmaster Elite Series champion now has a Lowrance active target forward-facing sonar attached to the front of his boat. He's just keeping up with the times, of course. Anytime something gets good and popular, everybody rushes out to do it. Hackney said, forward-facing sonar is all the rage for professional anglers and weekend warriors alike. It's the latest technology in the sport that previously took pride in forcing anglers to do their homework in order to find fish. Many professionals now spend their time in the water with heads down and eyes glued to a screen, soaking up valuable intel provided by the forward-facing sonar. That's why it gets the monkier video game fishing, because you're just simply watching your bait go down and you're seeing whether or not the fish are reacting to it and how you get their attention, that sort of thing. It says the new technology has created a divide in competitive fishing. Some say forward-facing sonar is advancing the sport for the better, while opposers contend that sonar is taking away from what makes fishing great. Professional fishing leagues are caught in the middle as studies are underway to examine the impacts of forward-facing sonar. Now, I can't help it but think. I don't know how it applies to bass fishing. I don't do much bass fishing. I don't enjoy it very much.
I know
I'm not
how
saying
it
it's
applies
bad.
to crappie fishing.
That's what I'm saying. Crappie, white bass, catfish, things like that.
Anything that schools up like that around a brush pile, and then you watch your bait and hook go down, and you can see exactly where they are. So you're like, oh, okay, 1 more foot down.
Yeah.
And then you just watch them bite it and bring it up. And I literally watched the guy do it.
I've seen the guys do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, and he saw that he wasn't catching at this depth, so he dropped it down further.
And what's even worse is a lot of these guys, especially for crappie fishing, are dropping their own trees and things in order to set their, and then they're marking that spot, and they'll come back.
So they go catching instead of fishing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so this is one of those things that's
At
going
this
to be
point,
controversial.
it's still legal to do it.
It's still legal. It's still legal.
So if you're in a tournament,
But I can't see how it's not going to have impacts because technology has always had an impact. It just depends on what the impact is. So like years ago, when GPS spot locking trolling motors came out, well, that changed everything. You don't have to drift. You're staying in one spot. It's very easy. And then of course you got power poles now that can in shallow water anchoring systems, and there's so many technological advances that have come.
true, but all those things are keeping your boat in one spot. They're not showing you exactly where the fish is. The sonar is showing you exactly where your fish
showing
is.
exactly where depth, everything. Yeah.
And it's not that it's bad necessarily. It could take the fun out of it.
Okay, this is what Grant says. We're going back into subject. We'll get back to the forward-facing sonar here in just a minute. But Grant says, using the Frabil minnow bucket with bubbler box, good for 4 days or so with fresh batteries. That's for minnows.
Oh, well, they may survive better than shrimp, I guess.
And then he says he's got a catfish rod out too. Hopefully, and if you get some tugs on that, we definitely want to know. Because that means the live show is a good luck.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Double minnow bucket.
yeah, we have to give that a try.
Maybe
All
it's
right.
like, is it somehow insulated?
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It keeps it cold.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah. So it says, how does forward-facing sonar work? Well, depending on who you ask, forward-facing sonar burst onto the fishing stream sometime around 2017, but this was hardly the first time electronics were used in competitive fishing. Flashers and side sonars have been used for decades to help locate fish and assist with bait placement. Over the years, traditional sonar improved to the point where anglers could see jigging spoons, drop shots, or even live baits. Forward-facing sonar takes this concept to the next level. While most traditional sonar could only show fish activity directly under the boat, forward-facing sonar provides a much larger scope. It operates using a special transducer at the front of the boat, usually mounted on the trolling motor shaft or an independent pole. The transducer records real-time imagery of what's going on around the boat. And so it's going to talk about that. It used to be back in the day, you're going to pay tens of thousands of dollars for these things, but now they're really very affordable, $1,000 to $2,000, which I know that's still a good chunk of change, but not as much as it used to be. So it's more accessible for everybody to get involved with it. But there are a lot of opponents about it. There's a lot of people that just do not like it. They're very opposed to it. And I'd like to know what you guys think about it. Maybe you think it doesn't matter. If you're a bank fisherman, you definitely don't care. If you're a boat fisherman or a tournament fisherman, maybe you care more about it. But it's one of these things that it's going to continue to be an issue until there's some consensus regarding how it's used. In my mind, I don't mind having a person use it for. This is my opinion, so take it if you take it with what you want. My opinion would be I don't mind seeing people use it for like the weekend warriors, the people that are just going out casually and that sort of thing. I'd have a problem with it being used in a tournament. You're a pro. You shouldn't need a crutch, and that's how I look at it. I look at it as something where you should be able to go out there and you should be able to catch fish with that because you're pre-fishing the tournaments. You're learning the water, and I think it takes some of that natural sense out of it. But again, that's me. I'm not a purist, but that's just what I think. I don't know. What do you guys think? Forward-facing sonar. What do you think?
Well, they school sometimes with the white bass, but the black bass don't necessarily school. And so they're not always going to be visible all the time on your forward-facing sides. I don't know if it helps as much as it does like white bass and crappie.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
but
I imagine it's going to show you the depth of what they're hanging.
Maybe at least gives you an idea of watching. Like you might be able to see, oh, there's fish here. I'm in a spot where I know there's fish. And then watching your rod and see if it attracts anything, and then you know to switch up.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's going to be one of these things like you're going to have different tournaments where you're going to have, I think this would be interesting. You're going to have tournaments where electronics are banned, and then you're going to have tournaments where you can use electronic equipment. I think that'd be interesting. Maybe you'd see a little bit more skill division going on there. But
maybe they can offer bigger prizes to those who caught it without electronics.
Yeah, I would think that, you know, if you're able to get out there and you're able to learn the lake, because that was what the tournaments were. I mean, you're traveling around. You have to learn the different lakes. You have to learn different locations. You have to learn the patterns and all of that, and then you're able to go out and get it. So it does take out some of that learning curve. But maybe it's not as big of a deal. Maybe it is. I don't know. He said one of the things that was interesting. It was this one, and this is kind of further down the article, but Steven Johnson's a fishing guide on Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend. He competes in tournaments, and he gives a list of the tournaments that he has competed in, but he says, although his boat is equipped with forward-facing sonar, Johnson said the technology only accounted for roughly 5% of his catches because it does not work as well in shallow waters. So that's something there. Maybe it doesn't have as much of an impact as you're led to believe. Maybe the deeper water, maybe it's not as effective for bass fishing, or I don't know. But he says he didn't use forward-facing sonar at all during the first 6 Bassmaster events. He did use it during the last 3 of the season, and he looks at it as a strategy, whether or not to use it or not. So anyway, let us know what you guys think, and let us know that, like I said, the studies are going out. I'll be looking for those studies when they do come out. They are doing some studies to say, you know, and it's the kind of fish survey studies. What did you catch today? How did you catch it? Were you using forward-facing sonar and stuff like that?
Well, if you're in a hurry, it might not be a great idea because it takes time, you know, to use the sonar. You're waiting patiently for that. Where if you're in a tournament and you have only 3 hours, you're going to spots.
And you know, Bassmasters formed a committee, so we're definitely going to find out what they think here about those sort of things. So we'll keep tuned for that because the jury is still out on what will be.
Well, then I'm waiting to buy it. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to invest it. I need power poles first. We're talking about how technology impacts things. I'm like, I need power poles. It's no longer a want, it's now a need. So, all right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and go on to unsolicited advice. All right, and in this episode of Unsolicited Advice, we're going on Reddit once again to talk about some things that maybe should help some people in finding some things out. Before we get to that, Senor Mysterioso says, what's y'all's opinion on drones? There's already laws on the books against using them to find fish. Yeah. This is another one people are going to be divided on. I don't like drone fishing, so to speak, where you can send up a drone over the flats and kind of see where the fish are. And if you watch some of even Thresher's videos and stuff like that, he uses a drone and he sees the fish, but he doesn't use the drone to fish. So it's not like he's using it as an active thing. More of a passive video recording thing. Having said that, there are those that use even drones to take baits out.
Yeah, what about taking the bait out and dropping them?
I don't have a problem with taking baits out. Matter of fact, in my mind, it's safer than kayaking out there. You know, sometimes getting over those waves and things. I would much rather see people use a drone to take baits out and drop them than kayaking or some people swimming them out. Especially here on the Texas coast, but I think it's another thing where you can abuse that technology, and you can definitely use it to find fish. And I don't like the idea of using a drone to find fish. I don't mind the idea of taking it out to drop a bait. I think that's safer. But what do you think?
I mean, it's might be safer than walking all the way out there yourself and doing some risk like that or falling off the kayak, but you do risk losing your drone.
You do risk losing the drone.
It's not safer for the drone.
It's not safer for the drone. No,
big old wind and I see to carry it away. So even though some people do use it, they do lose it too.
Yeah. You gotta be careful with that. So that's my opinion on it. There's laws in the books in some areas you can't even use them to drop baits. So in North Carolina when we were there, they used kite fishing. They would use kites to send their baits out. So they'd hook their baits to the kites and they'd take it out and pull the string and let the bait go with a kite. So there's a will, there's a way you can do it, but that's just what I think. Anyway, all right, let's get into unsolicited advice. And I thought this was an interesting question because we just went through this. So it says, he was asking, he says, hello, I'm from the Orlando area. I'm trying to get into fishing. The problem is I do not have a kayak or boat. Hey, look, that doesn't matter. Okay, having a kayak or boat does not mean that you can get more or less fish. Just because you have a kayak or boat does not mean that you will somehow, have less fish. It's not about a kayak or boat. A lot of bank fishermen out there that catch amazing fish, pier fishing. There's a lot of ways to do it. So don't let the idea of not having a kayak or boat play into whether or not you can catch fish. Having said that, he says, if anyone has any tips on how to find fishing spots, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. So I thought we could help him out a little bit. I just did this kind of research when we moved here to the area. So I'm going to give you a couple of things that I use. I'm going to give you my favorite tool as well that will help you, or if you're not familiar with how to do this. The first thing I would do if I'm moving to an area or if I'm getting into an area when I want to learn it is I'm going to look at just simply a map of that area. A lot of times on those maps it's going to have things marked such as piers, boat launches, jetties, places to bank fish. It's going to have that on those maps. So that's the first thing. There used to be maps that were manufactured for that. They don't make them. I don't think they make them anymore. But I think one of our best tools, we're talking about technology now, we're talking about forward-facing sonar as well, but one of the best technologies I think that's out there is this one, and that is Google Maps. Google Maps is amazing when it comes to finding new spots. And I'll show you this because this is what I just did. This is the area that we are fishing in the Sabine Lake area. And I was like, well, I want to find new spots. So what do? Well, I go on the map and I start looking. And I'm using the satellite view. And I start looking and I look at places that look interesting to me on the map. And so, you see things like, here is a channel that's cut. It goes all the way back to this PowerPoint, and then you can see here as well. There's some places here that have some cuts and have some places there. So what I do when I'm starting to look, I use Google Maps. That's the first thing I do because even here's some rocks. You can see the rocks right along in here. There's a parking lot. This is a park. You can definitely bank fish right along those rocks. That's easy things. You can see that. And so you're going to look for things like that on the map. If you have a boat and or a kayak or something like that, you're going to start looking and you say, well, here's a couple of channels. Oh, look, there's some structure in the channel. And so you're looking for things like that. But I think Google Maps is one of the best ways to find new fishing spots, whether you're bank fishing or not. It does not matter. Here's another spot that we're looking at, and you can see here, there's some rocks here, and there's a channel that cuts out right next to this road, and this is a public road. So you can definitely fish off of these things as well into the water there. So Google Maps is a very easy tool to use to find things. You can also just Google piers or things like that in the area. Here you see, here's another fishing pier that's right along this lakefront pier that's there. So using Google Maps to search coastline, very easy way to find new areas to fish. Yeah. So if you're looking for new areas to fish, that's what I would highly recommend. Just go on Google Maps and start looking down the coastline. Start looking around where public roads are and start looking around where rocks are. A lot of times you'll even see, like on this one, it's kind of interesting. Here's a jetty. This is a levee road, and you'll actually start seeing things like turnoffs where people have parked. You might even see some trucks and say, oh yeah, see there's a truck right there on the road. Let me put it back up here so you can see that there's a truck right there along the road. So you know that he's parked there and he is looking for And there's another one right here, and these are the pipes, they call them. And there's another one parked there. You can look up, and Ben is right as well, you can look up Pier Finder. That's another tool. And Senior Mysterio, so if OP ever wants to surf fish from the beach, they should look up videos teaching you how to read the surf. Absolutely. Because here's the Sea Rim State Park, and you can see. And this is a very interesting little corner to beach fish on. So that, looking at Google Maps, looking at things like this is definitely going to help you. Just simply doing Google searching, whether it be on forums or whether it be on things like that, is an easy way to find fishing spots. One other way, if you want to put your feet on the ground, go to your local bait shop, go to your local tackle store, and ask them, hey, I'm new to this, and I'm looking for spots to fish. Do you have anything? I'm not asking for your secret, honey hole kind of thing, but do you have any place where you would recommend us fishing? And we've done that. And when we moved to a new area, hey, do you know anything about this area? Is this boat launch good? Is this pier any good? And you learn from that. But asking questions is definitely a good way to find it. But Ben said Florida Fishing Pier Finder is another good one. And do look up videos. That's another thing, is YouTube has a lot of different videos from people in a lot of different areas. And if you do searches for fishing in those areas, you're definitely going to come up with areas and things where you can fish as well. So hopefully that's helpful to you as you think about getting out there for new spots, and try out Google Maps as well. If you're not familiar with that, Google Earth you can download on your computer as well, or you can just do it right there on your phone. Then all this technology, all this stuff is free. It doesn't cost you anything to do that homework. So anything? Nothing. Okay. All right. Well, having said that, hopefully you have an awesome week. We got Election Day coming up. Not going to tell you how to vote, just going to simply say if you are a registered voter, go out and vote. And your primary Super Tuesday is coming up for a lot of us. So go out there and vote if you have not done so already. Have a great week. Hopefully you'll have an awesome weekend. For us this weekend, we will not be able to get out and do anything. I've got a little procedure that has to be taken care of on my knee. So that's gonna lock up my weekend. Hopefully I'll be able to return to action before too terribly long. So, having said that, until next time.
May the fish be with you.
Have a good evening.